been a long time because we've had the school holidays.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are going to talk a little bit about Australian patterns of speech and idioms that are pretty typical in Australia. So I'm starting with the idioms of speech first. So the one that you'll hear a lot, and most of these you might hear your students, your teenagers, 20-year-olds using some of these because they've become quite common. And the first one is she'll be right, or it'll be all right, she'll be right. They sort of sling it off like that. And that means don't worry, just be happy. Like, Mum, you are too worrying about things, she'll be right. And you even hear people in industry and even in a business setting, yeah, she'll be right. And they do it so quickly, sometimes you wonder what they're saying. And the next one I've written there is hey mate. And Australia is known for being very big on mateship. And being a mate means I'm your friend. So hey mate is a greeting, and it's used by young people, more often used by men. Men will say, hey mate, even if they're not your friend. Like if you get a plumber or a builder to come and do an alteration in your house, you might hear them saying to your teenage son or the man in your property, hey mate, have you got a hammer? Hey mate, have you got such and such? So it's just a term of feeling like you're welcome, I'm welcome, we're friends together. And the one that we all use, I guess, is cool. That's cool. Cool as, which really means it's a popular choice or great. That is so great that you're going to pursue that course of action. So cool as, you often hear them saying that. And there's quite a lot of different ones like that have almost the opposite meaning to what we would think, because they're not meaning cold, they're just meaning very, very rad. Rad is another one, the next one there. And that, we would never use it as woman, but it's more of a one the young people would use. And very, very cool is rad. It's just so rad. And even they might be looking at flash cars, and they would even call a car, what a rad car, and it's a racing car, it's a boy racer type car, that type of thing. Heavy or heavy duty means something very important and interesting information. So even after a church group or a Bible study group, you might hear people saying, what a heavy lesson that was today. And it just means so full of meaning that we get so much out of it. Heavy duty, that it's such great truth. And that's what people mean when they say heavy or heavy duty. Good stuff, once again, it's sort of almost slang, but it's not considered bad or awful. But good stuff means, oh, I really appreciate your information you've given me. That really helps me out. And one that you probably use too, maybe, is amazing. Amazing, and sometimes you're trying to think of something rather than saying, very good, it's good. You might say, it's amazing, or it's fabulous. Those are all sort of the English ways of trying to give gratitude and to say thank you. Now these ones I would never ever use, but they are very Australian. So the first one is bloody oath. It means, yes, that's very true. So once again, it's bad slang and it would really be used by men. You probably hear people in the street saying it and you cringe and think, oh, that's not so good. And then this is getting old now, but when we talk about a bludger, that's someone who's lazy. So down a bit further, I've talked about a dole bludger, and the dole is the payment the government gives out if you're unemployed and you meet certain criteria. So a bludger can just be someone who likes the food you cook, and they come to your house and they're bludging off you because they like the food you cook. Or it's someone who's lazy and doesn't want to get out and go look for a job. Now there can be other reasons. Sometimes what's happened with COVID is even young people, you've probably heard it on the news, they have real mental problems and they almost get suicidal. So we would not call them a bludger. We would say a bludger for someone who, strong body, could get out there and get a job, and they just choose to be very lazy. So that's the bludger. And someone who's a bogan is someone who's not very sophisticated. Back when we were in our 20s, some of you were probably children, there used to be people that would travel around in like a VW combi van, and they dress in bright red, bright yellow, might have a big straw hat, even a man, and we would say, he is so bogan. It's because they're very unusual, and they usually, they might work for 6 weeks and then take 6 weeks holiday. They might work for 1 year and take the next year off. They're just very bogan, and they love to travel and live in a caravan or a tent, and they're called bogan. So, yeah, so it's very kind to say they're not very sophisticated. The booze bus, I haven't seen them very much lately because the police are always in their cars. But when they're out there breath testing and they have a bus with them, they can take you, if you blow over the limit in alcohol reading, they can take you straight into the bus and book you right there, and you cannot even drive your car home. So that's the booze bus, and they use that to catch drinking and also drug addicted people. And it says, like, young people will send each other texts on their phones, and they'll say, don't take the M1 home, go on the back road because the booze bus is out. So it's a quick slang way of letting their friends know not to take certain highways. The dole, as I said earlier, is the unemployment payment, and it's not really referred to very much now because so many young people find excuses to be on welfare. So when someone says they're on welfare, they could be on the unemployment dole, getting an amount of money from the government, but like we said earlier, with COVID, a lot of the time they've got a mental health problem, and they'll go around and find a doctor who will sign off the paper. Even if the doctor doesn't know them, they pass the word among themselves if they've got a drug problem, and they will get on a mental health supplement. We work a lot with drug addicts and through church and people with those kind of problems. And Transformations Ministries, they have young people where they provide them a home and a program with psychologists and lecturers. They are actually on a mental health welfare payment. So the organisation, like the Salvation Army, can take that money from them, just give them $100, some of them just give them $50, so they've got enough money to buy toothpaste and shampoo and all the essentials. But of course, you know what they do? They all share the toothpaste and they go out and buy cigarettes. So it's very dysfunctional, and people who are on the dole are very dysfunctional. So that's what we call those people. And the dole bludger, others look down on this person who's lazy and not willing to work. So we always tell people, especially in youth work at the church, you need to get a job. But even in this environment where we don't even have to wear the masks anymore, some of them get so lazy that they don't even want to look for a job. So that really would be a dole bludger. Yeah. Now, Some of the ones that affect you more, and you've probably worked this out if you've been here a little while, is when people ask you to bring a plate, they are asking you to bring a plate of food. And to clarify that, it's really good to say to people, what would you like me to have? Would you like me to bring savoury or sweet? So savoury means you could bring sandwiches, a little pie or some sausage rolls, so that's savoury or sweet. And then if you know it's sweet, you could bring chocolate brownies. Some people too, we're all so busy, they might just bring a small box of chocolates. So that would be their sweet gesture. And then if the hostess does not want to open them, she can choose. But we're going to have a shared lunch, and so we will have a variety of savoury and sweet, because we'll make some of the Australian foods that we take when we know it's a sweet treat that people are asking for. And you'll find, you probably do this too, people get favourite recipes. So you take something you like to make and say it's so easy, so then they'll ask you for the recipe. And that's how ladies get to share ideas and do all those sort of things. Just as I go on to the second sheet, Helen reminded me of another one that's really, probably came from England, from Britain. But it says this: a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush or in the tree. So a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. Do you get what they're talking about? That means it's better to have one good idea or one good birthday present than to have two that you're just thinking about. Because like a bird in the bush, you're never going to catch him, he's going to fly away. So a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush. And so it can go right across the board. Your young people might be studying to be, let's just say, a Bachelor of Science. So they're very busy for 3 or 4 years studying for a Bachelor of Science. It's far better they do that than talk about being a doctor, talk about being a lawyer. But you say, well, finish what you're doing and then choose. But some people, all they do is talk about it. They never go and put the hard work in and do it. So there's a lot of different ways that can come through.
It can also be seize the moment.
Yes.
Seize the moment.
So
The person might be with you then, so let's do it now, rather than wait, maybe just even a coffee.
yes.
Let's seize the moment.
Seize the moment.
Take the moment.
Take the moment, because a bird in the hand is
We're
worth.
here now, let's do it right now while we're together.
Yeah, we used it on Sunday for something, that's why I thought about it.
Yes.
And the little grandchildren were looking at me like,
Wondering where the bird was.
the bird.
But it's making the opportunity, it's right here, let's do it right now. Even sometimes you need to sign papers for the lawyer or for the solicitor. Well, let's seize the moment, let's do it now, we're both here. We don't need to wait and do it next week, do it now. Seize, S-I-E-Z-E, seize the moment. Have I got it around the right way?
S-E-I, I don't know.
珍惜当下。
Sorry.
Sorry.
S-E-I, seize the moment.
No.
How to spell?
S-E-I-Z-E. E-I-Z-E.
Oh, shit.
Seize.
这个
E-I.
掌握
Seize the
当下
day.
Seize the day. Yeah. Make the most of the opportunity. Yeah. Good. And then just a few little sayings that we don't use very much, but they're very Australian too. Once again, I'd never say this, but the men of the house might say it. Put a sock in it. That means be quiet. You've had your turn. It's another way of saying shut up and give someone else a turn. So put a sock in it. It's on the back of your sheet, I think. Yeah. So that's put a sock in it. Means, don't keep talking. And sometimes it can really refer to teenagers and 20-year-olds and they're constantly telling jokes. So they tell a joke, everyone laughs, so then they'll tell another joke, so everyone will laugh. And you get so tired of them talking. You say, put a sock in it, be quiet. Yeah. A dog's breakfast. Now, you can say this about your teenager. Your bedroom looks like a dog's breakfast. And that's how you would do it. Messy, but it doesn't need to refer to food. Often it's used by parents to describe their kids' chaotic lives. Not in order, a shambles, no thought, just a bit of everything. Sometimes school teachers use it in the classroom to say, that page of writing looks like a dog's breakfast, because it's just notes and scribbles, and you need to learn to lay it out neatly. Number one, for yourself, so you can go back and refer to it. So that's the dog's breakfast. There was a movie a few years back called The Castle, and it was totally funny and even a bit satire and making fun of the Australian way of life. And this tell him he's dreaming, they drop the H off him and they just say, tell him he's dreaming. So they leave the H off. And to us it's so funny, we just sit and laugh, but it's Australian idiom that some people in Australia do talk like that. So Michael Caton in The Castle, that's when you heard it used quite a bit. When you advise someone involved in a business transaction to tell their counterpart that he's dreaming, you're suggesting that the other side is not offering a fair deal. Yeah, if he thinks he can get $80 an hour, well, you tell him he's dreaming. I'm never going to pay that amount of money for you to come and fix that in my house. I believe I can get the job done for $25 an hour. So you sort of work, yeah, so we don't use it commonly, but you will hear tradespeople often using it. The next one, no worries mate, she'll be right. And the official explanation is this reflects a national stoicism that suggests everything will turn out fine in the end. So you probably use that yourself. No worries, she'll be right. No worries, she'll be right. This being the case, there's no real point in worrying about anything. So that's the end of the story. But you can just say, don't worry, it'll be all right, or she'll be right. It's just a colloquialism. And then this one, you've probably heard this a lot, especially if there's a race or a rugby game. Maybe even some people might say it at tennis, more rugby and touch and those sort of sports. Come on, Aussie, come on. Have you heard them doing it? Come on, Aussie, come on, come on. Come on, Aussie, come on. So it's especially funny. Australians will do it to New Zealanders. So when the All Blacks from New Zealand rugby come and play in Australia, or Australia goes to New Zealand, and there is a bunch of Australians in the audience, they'll go, come on, Aussie, come on, come on, come on, Aussie, come on. So they're cheering for their national team. Yes. So now we are all going to turn to Waltzing Matilda. Now, I want to tell you that when I was a small girl in New Zealand, we used to sing this song. Your children will be singing it at school for fun. And I never ever knew the meaning. So if you take this sheet home and look it over, you'll say, oh, it actually has got Aussie slang or Aussie idiom. So I took a highlighter before I came, and the title of the song, Waltzing Matilda, the waltzing, it may look like dancing, but it actually means that the swag man is wandering through the bush. So he's moving from place to place. He might stop on some farms and do a bit of work as he travels around. So anyone who's an itinerant worker could be called a swag man. That's what the song is saying. You're all okay?
Some of them didn't have a signal.
Oh, okay.
So
I
please
will.
share it to others.
Yeah, I'll give you mine as soon as I've finished talking. So I'm going to play this on my phone, and you can follow the words. But first of all, a jumbuck. So see the word jumbuck? A swagman is like a farmer who travels around the country. The song narrates the story of the itinerant worker or swagman, and he's making billy tea at a bush camp, and he's capturing a jumbuck. So that is a sheep or a lamb. So when the song refers to the jumbuck, that's the sheep. When the jumbuck's owner or the landowner of the farm comes, the jumbuck is actually a squatter. So he's taking advantage of the farmer's land. And you'll never catch me alive. So he gets the police, and the police are called troopers. So when we get to the part in the song about the troopers, that's the police. And he said, "You are not going to put me in prison. I'm not going to jail." And so he jumps in the water. He jumps in the, what do you call it?
Billabong.
Billabong. So the billabong is the water hole, or like a hole in the river. And he actually commits suicide by drowning because he doesn't want to go with the trooper or the police. And if you hear the kids singing it at school, they'll say, "Up rode the squad," and they go real slow because it's getting really sad, and grabbed him with glee. Down came the troopers, 1, 2, 3. "Whose is that jumbuck? Whose sheep have you got?" Because he stole the sheep. And so that's why the police have come to get him. And you've got in your tucker bag, "You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me." So they're going to take him in. He's a travelling, not even a salesman, a worker. And that's why it's sad. "His ghost may be heard as you pass by the billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me." And why the song has become so well known, and it's good for you just to look this over even when you go home, is people sing it all the time. It's so popular, some people wanted it to be the national anthem of Australia. And we said, what? It's just a good, fun song. So all through New Zealand, all through Australia, they sing it. And when I was looking for this online, you know Andre Roux with the violin? He sang it, he learned it and sang it in Australia because it's so popular. So I'll just put it on, and that's the end of this first session.
Are we going to sing it?
You can sing it or you can listen.
Once a jolly swagman camped by the billy bar, under the shade of a coolabah tree. When he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled, "You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me." And he sang as he watched and waited till his billy boiled, "You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me."
So the billy is his tea, his cup of tea.
Down came a jumbuck to drink at the billabong. Up jumped the swagman and grabbed him with glee. And he sang as he stole that jumbuck in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And he sang as he stole that jump in his tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
Now the police come.
Up rode the squatter, mounted on his thoroughbred. Up rode the Plovers, 1, 2, 3. With a jolly jump back you got in your tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. With a jolly jump back you got in your tucker bag. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
This is the sad part. Last verse.
Up jumped the swagman, swinging through the ferry boy. You'll never take me alive, said he. And his ghost may be heard as you pass by that dear home. You'll never take me alive, said he. Waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda, you'll come a waltzing Matilda with me. And his ghost may be heard as you pass by that billabong. You'll come a waltzing Matilda with me.
I'll cut it off there. But that song is on YouTube, lots of different versions. So if you want your young people to sing it, you could say, I've got a song for you to sing. Yeah, so those are just some of the main idioms of speech, and not many of them are used anymore because we all like to do the right thing. But you do get those people who want to rebel and be different to everybody else, and so they like to use those. Thank you.